All right. What's up? It's Cowboy. It is Thursday. I had to take a day off yesterday. I had a couple things going on, and quite frankly, I was exhausted. Exhausted, working around the clock. Got a couple of things coming, a couple of projects coming out. All right. Excuse me. All right. So let's go ahead, jump right into the charts. Yesterday's FOMC, of course, was basically a nothing burger. Nothing going to happen. Big shocker. It's just, we're at a point now where the concern is that inflation's not going away, and cutting rates would, if nothing else, it would temporarily cause markets to fall. That's commonly what happens when you first cut rates, especially if you plan to do an extensive amount of cutting, right? So it might be that for fear of ruining the election for the incumbent, they don't want to cut the rates. That's very possible. It's too, maybe it's too close to the election. They probably should have done that last year. But then, of course, last year there was the concern about inflation. There's all kinds of theories running around about who's in charge and, who's got what power and who's doing what. And, they're all good theories. A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are good theories. However, I prefer to look at the charts, man. There's just all these different suppositions. Sorry about that. All these different suppositions and, who's doing what and all this person's on that side and this side and that side and the elites are in a, okay, maybe all that's true. Like I am not denying it. In fact, I think it's probably is true that there are certain factions, factionalized elites. But like for those of us who are down here in the, the normal group of people, or at least those of us who are in the slightly above normal group of people who actually have half a clue as to what's going on in the world, us, me, V the Gorilla, us type of guys, some of the other guys that we talk to, it's almost better, in my opinion, to look at the charts because the market is incredibly efficient. I know there are some arguments about the market not being that efficient, but I can tell you the market is relatively efficient. We're going to hold off just a moment here. I do need to take a quick trade. Let's see here. Let's see if it's ready. Not quite. I'm going to set an alarm here on another screen. I'm kind of scalping lately the JPY. It seems as if actually that's kind of big news for those of you who are following Algo Factory and so on and so forth. The Japanese yen has been really interesting to watch, certainly. And it seems as if Japan is defending it, which the Japanese yen has a big place when it comes to crossing down. I'm setting that alarm. Give me just a moment here. When it comes to the entire market, like all the market plumbing, and, Expound the Profound over on X, you'll see me post a fair amount of his stuff. This guy just has some really great theories as to what's going on, and it's all backed by data. He's all data-driven. So, this guy doesn't really say anything unless he can point to it on the charts, looking at a lot of currencies in the bond market. And long story short, the Japanese yen, and this is common knowledge, was used as what I call a pressure relief valve for the equities market. So, yen would be traded for equity or for U.S. Treasury bonds, UST or 10 years, U.S. debt. The yen would trade for U.S. debt, and then there would be kind of like this big carry trade that would go on. The Japanese would basically quickly print their debt at a negative rate, and then they would quickly trade it for U.S. debt, and then they would use that to purchase all kinds of stuff around the world. And actually the Japanese are very well funded. They have their pension system is very well funded. And by the way, I've got a lot of respect for Japanese culture. Like this is not in any way anything just besides a compliment to the Japanese system, right? I'm actually taking this trade. I'm going to do a quick Japanese yen short, but it's going to be a quiet one. Because I'm scalping, I want to put my scalps up on public display. Give me a second. Okay, let's try that. Okay. So the whole point here is that I think, and I'm not sure, but I think the Japanese may have been forced or coerced or the deal might have been just very heavily handedly made that would be how the Japanese do with their currency. And I can tell you, though, that they backed themselves up by funding their pensions in a very strong way. They were more or less, I don't know if they were forced to, I don't know the deal. They nationalized a lot of their, like the Nikkei, a lot of it is owned by the Bank of Japan. And the Bank of Japan is a force to be reckoned with. And at this point in history, I think they may be interested in kind of being a bit more sovereign than they used to be, which is why they changed from their infinite QE, and now they're actually not going to be on negative rates forever. And there's a lot of changes going on in the world. And the Japanese yen was skyrocketing. We're going to look at it in the charts very shortly here. I need to just finish this trade so I can bring the charts up. Hold on. All right. Okay. Looks like I took far less risky of a trade than I planned. That's all right. 154, 359. Okay, Gorilla's in the house too. The Gorilla, how are you, sir?
Man, did we or did we not call that Bitcoin price?
Yeah, we called it. We called the shit
out. Dude, I mean, we should just go back and take a screenshot of that timestamp of the video that we did. How we called it. When we did it on Friday, I think it was.
Yeah, well, I'll go back and do that. That's easy to do.
Can you do that for me? I'd like to show a client of mine. This is hilarious.
Yeah, we'll do it. I was going to show, I kept talking about like the Japanese yen, but I was in the middle of taking a trade, so I didn't have it up on the screen. But like what's happening with the yen is something we also called ahead of time. I've been telling people, and V the Gorilla the same, probably V, you've probably been saying it longer than I have, quite frankly. But Japanese yen was being basically protected at 152 while the whole sort of Japanese yen deal was going on. And excuse all this gobbledygook. Let me get some of that off the screen. The whole carry trade, U.S. equities, that whole deal, right? Yeah. And that was being held down. You see this top limber price kept rejecting down, down, down. And then finally it popped up, and the Japanese yen popped up, meaning that it got weaker right after Japan decided to go off infinite QE. So, when they decided to say, hey, we're done with this game, all of a sudden there seemed to be like a currency war where people were attacking the yen. We're assuming, we have no idea. And then now, if you look back, like the last, 2 weeks, it seems as if maybe they're fighting back. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know. I mean, V, maybe I don't know. But take a look at the price here of the Japanese yen over the past, let me expand the screen. Yeah. Look at this. First, it had this big, nasty move down, going back about 5 days. It was like Sunday. So right, market open, and then again, even worse, like yesterday. So yen shorts are definitely in, and so even though it popped up in what appeared to be a currency war where the yen was ruptured, the Japanese are, I'm assuming that they're really heavily defending right now, and I know Tom Luongo was talking about that. So we might be witnessing basically the power of the West to crush the yen completely being neutered.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. It's like, look, when the entire Western world, that includes Japan, because Japan's a vassal of the Western world, decided that they're going to start doing currency wars. And currency wars is basically, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead. We're all going to devalue at the same time. It becomes a race to the bottom. It becomes a beggar thy neighbor policy. So it's only fun and games in the world of academia until those fun games actually have real world repercussions. And that's what we're witnessing. And when the Japanese said, hey, you know what? The reality is coming to roost, that if we don't start defending our currency, our economy will be eviscerated. Then lo and behold, they come to the point. They come to the point where they said, you know what? Enough's enough. We're out of this game. And now you're seeing that the only ones that are wrapping arms and saying kumbaya as the West goes in flames are just the Western countries.
Yeah, see, now, when we say the Japanese as a vassal of the U.S., I don't believe the Japanese see themselves that way. It's just what was going on after.
No, it's just a big component of the Japanese, political class. Do not see themselves that way.
I think they were forced into it. The Japanese are extremely nationalistic, and I was saying earlier that their culture has my respect and always has. I think it's unfortunate that they may have been forced into this game. There's a really great show. It's a YouTube video movie, whatever. It's called The Princes of the Yen, and you can
Oh
see
yeah,
what happened with their
great movie.
currency, what happened with their economy. What they don't necessarily really overtly talk about is the hidden hand behind what happened, and I think that hidden hand rests in the city of London. But that's just my own, I'm not, the video doesn't say that, and we're not, saying anything in particular. But long story short, that Japanese yen, it seems as if they're defending it, and that's a big change. And I was wondering, like, they went off infinite QE, the yen gets weak as you see the dollar rise against it, and now it's just getting freaking crushed back down, right back down. And I would love to see the yen get more powerful. I would love to see Japanese economy continue to be successful. They have top rate manufacturing. They have top rate technology. They didn't allow themselves to be neutered as so many Western countries did. So, and I think, are they buying Russian energy, Japanese?
I'm not sure. Then they could be buying Russian energy by way of,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
As most everybody is.
Yeah.
So let's roll over real quick to Bitcoin, though. I know we're pretty much over for the public version of this, but we'll get the video timestamp this. In fact, V, you know what I'll do today for the, how I do like another video. I always do a second video that's pre-recorded and sent out, and I usually cover like a crypto that's interesting, whatever. I'll find that timestamp, and I'll put that on the video. It's just freaking, I told you so, bitches. Excuse my language. So we had some liquidity nodes, and this is part of what we talked about. This is Bitcoin, and this is Bitcoin on the daily. And we did talk about it heading down, possibly to the low 50s, certainly to the mid 50s. And I mapped out these liquidity zones. Now, these liquidity zones are floating, right? They change. So this liquidity is based on what's happening in the derivatives market, on the derivatives exchanges like, say, Binance, BitMEX, so on and so forth. I'd say largely Binance. I'm not sure where all the volume is these days, because I know Binance took a major hit. But the point here is that across exchanges, the liquidity is pretty similar. And if you're using the Kingfisher.io, you can grab that data. You can watch me do it right now. There is a link to the Kingfisher in our Algo Factory description, right? So if you want to use the Kingfisher, I would say use the hell out of it. It's a great. They don't pay me. Although if you use the link, I'll get some free stuff. So the liquidity right now is largely to the upside. Largely to the downside in a big way, but there is some building to the upside. So this green dotted line is the price. And as the market starts to move down, people are going to start going short. And this is where their trades liquidate, because when you're trading derivatives, you have a point past which your trades liquidate unless you want to add what's called margin. And I'm not going to explain all that because we don't have time. If you're trading derivatives, you know what that means. If you don't, then you probably shouldn't be trading derivatives anyway. But you look at this chart, you can see where all the liquidations are. And to the downside, you have a lot of people who went long, and a ton of people have liquidations at 45,000, anywhere from 43,000 all the way up to like 45. So will price go down that deep? It's possible, but it's more likely we'll see price head to like 56.5, which is actually right above that now. We got 56.5, we got 54.3, and we got about 52. Those are kind of the closer areas, right? So 56.5 is in play, and it still is. It never actually quite got there. It looks like a lot of people front ran that. And then you got 54. I think we said 54.3 now. So it's the peak of that is raised up a little bit, but it's basically the same. And then I think we said 52. So we'll just keep an eye on this. For now, the algos. Let's take a look at there might be a bounce we're seeing a bounce really, but the question is whether or not this will get held up by the bulls, right? Because it could, if the bulls kick in, they could crush this upwards. And I think today is drips day, right? V, we got that going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a short drip, but it's a very poignant drip of what's going on in the crypto industry behind the scenes. Those are the best, very powerful. Yeah, it's a very powerful drip, man.
Yeah, the short but sweet drips. I've made more money on those than the long drawn. The long drawn out stuff is cool.
Yeah,
like I like the long drawn out stuff, but the shorter drips, I find myself profiting on the most.
Amen.
So, and the drips, we're gonna hop over to the private group now, but just so you all know, V the Gorilla is kind of a quiet monster in the precious metals and crypto trading world across, like over the counter deals, stuff like that. So he just gets a lot of information. I can't say who he does deals with. I've been given some of that information. Mostly that information is not even held by me. Of course, he's is good at keeping his confidences, but I have an idea of the kind
George
of people.
Soros. What?
Just dude, don't come on, man.
I'm just kidding. I don't do business with George Soros.
You do it with Alex. You sell it to his kid.
Oh
You meet him
God.
at the you meet him at the gay bars, and
I sell lube to his son. So it's a bit of a-
All right. Long story short, though, we're gonna have drips today, so it's gonna be a good show. And by the way, since we're starting the private a little bit late, I'm okay with going over all of you in the private group. The gorilla might have to go, but I can go over a little bit. But we'll see about that. If nothing else, the drip will be worth it. So we're gonna hop over. V the gorilla, sir, can you get us out of here?
Yeah, guys, don't sit there on the sidelines wondering if this is for you, wondering if you can't do this because you're not a math whiz. You don't have to be a math whiz. Join us, be a part of the most prolific trading community that is organic, that is just prolific, that is just a community of support, knowledge, and information and influence. AlgoFactory.tech. Join us or die.
Join us or die.